So there's been a big fuss about Xbox One X, aka Project Scorpio, in the whole gaming community. According to Microsoft, this console is equipped with a 6 teraflop GPU and is capable of native 4K gaming. I wouldn't say for sure about the performance right now because nobody's really sure about it. But even as a PC gamer's perspective, this console holds a pretty good value. I admit that it will be hard to build a PC that counters the Xbox One X, as the cryptocurrency mining craze has brought up the graphics card prices. Don't get me wrong on this, I still think PC is the superior gaming platform. Although the Xbox One X holds a good value, it will never come close to PC in terms of customizability and options. I will do a separate video on this subject, so let's move on. Today, I found this guy on YouTube saying that all PC gamers are liars based on a Steam hardware survey. Again, he's not wrong about Xbox One X having a good value. However, his video is really misinformative. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
The Steam survey just released showcasing what PC gamers are gaming on. This kind of information is valuable because PC gamers can no longer lie when comparing their rigs to the Xbox One X. Xbox One X may be promoted as a 4K gaming console, but not every game running on the X will be in 4K. That's strictly up to developers, and no matter how much extra horsepower is under the plastic hood, some choices may be made to prioritize things over native 4K or 60 FPS. The difference between a closed console box and a widely varied PC configuration is that PC gamers get the choice of how to run their games. But that doesn't mean that PC gamers all have gaming rigs that will beat the performance of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. In fact, I'm going to show you that a large majority of PC gamers, when comparing price to performance, may be on par with the 2013 PS4 and Xbox One. Because you get much more for $500 on the Xbox One X than you do for a $500 PC. The Steam survey is only a vertical slice of whomever chose to do the survey, but the honesty that comes from the survey leaves little room in the imagination for lies, sugarcoating, and bragging. Steam gathers this information by detecting hardware and performance. One of the biggest arguments from PC gamers once they are challenged by a filthy console like the Xbox One X is, "I've been gaming at 4K 60 for years."
Checkpoint number 1. I've been gaming at 4K 60 FPS for years is not one of the biggest arguments of PC gamers. Actually, the biggest argument is that PCs have customizability and options. PC gamers get to choose the hardware that goes into their PC to fit their needs. It's not like PC gamers have a specific set of hardware that you have to use. Also, PC gamers get options. This is a huge thing. PC gamers can change the settings of a game to fit their needs. Say your graphics card isn't powerful enough to run the game at full settings. On PC, we get to decide if you want to sacrifice some graphical fidelity to achieve stable 60 FPS.
When you hear this is a lie. PC gamers rarely bother with 4K.
Checkpoint number 2. Yes, PC gamers rarely bother with 4K, but because the monitors are really expensive. My PC is capable of 4K 60 FPS, and yet I game on a 1080p monitor. But you're speaking as if all Xbox One X gamers will play on a 4K monitor or a TV. That simply just won't happen. 4K TVs cost a lot of money, and very little amount of people have 4K TVs in their households to begin with. This is also the reason why Microsoft should not have focused on 4K gaming, but that's a different video.
With a 1440p high refresh monitor, about $300, there is no justification to bother with 4K. In order to game at 4K, which hasn't been feasible recently unless spending $1,000 to $1,500, 4K power comes from a couple of mainstream cards, like the RX 580 and the GTX 1080. Although the 1070 can get the job done in a lot of games. Before I get started on the numbers in the Steam survey, let's remember that this is only a small amount of PC gamers who chose to do the survey, but it actually reflects the rest of the PC gamers.
Checkpoint number 3. What? Now, I don't think that's what he was trying to say there. I think he just didn't know how to word his thoughts. A survey gains more and more credibility as the number of people who takes the survey increases. If a survey is done on a small portion from a large group, that survey loses a lot of credibility due to the fact that it did not cover enough people to represent that group.
According to the Steam survey, out of 125 million PC gamers on Steam, only 0.86% of PC gamers are gaming at 4K. Now let's compare that to the percentage of PC gamers gaming at 1080p. 61 million gamers. Only 2.8% or 3.5 million PC gamers are gaming at 1440p, or otherwise known as 2K. Why? Why are over half of all PC gamers playing at 1080p or lower? Well, a lot of gaming laptops have slightly smaller than 1920 by 1080p screens, and the rest just don't have gaming dedicated setups. This means that there are roughly 4 million hardcore PC gamers with hardware capable of hitting 2K and above graphics on big AAA games. By the end of 2017, there will be more than 10 million PS4 Pros and Xbox One X's in gamers' homes.
Checkpoint number 4. What you're making here are just assumptions. Just because people play at 1080p doesn't mean they don't have the capability to go higher. They might not be able to afford a 1440p or 4K monitor, or they might just want to game at a higher frame rate. Also, as I said before, just because Xbox One X is capable of 4K doesn't mean everyone who plays on Xbox One X will actually play on 4K. 4K monitors are still not the standard these days.
The other reason why only 2.8% are playing at PS4 Pro resolutions and less than 1% at Xbox One X resolutions is that most PC gamers just don't have the hardware that far exceeds what is in the newest consoles. Keep in mind that PC gamers can do so much more with their hardware than a console, but this is hardly grounds for bragging rights when comparing price to performance.
What is that data supposed to represent? Are you trying to tell me that Xbox One X's CPU is better than mainstream Core i5 quad-core processors just because it has 8 cores? If that's what you're trying to say, you're wrong. The CPU inside the Xbox One X is clocked at 2.3 GHz, which is a low clock speed. Considering that a chip is a custom AMD chip, we can't expect it to have amazing IPC to cover up for the low clock speed. Also, note that modern games really don't need more than 4 cores. This is the reason why spending a fortune on a high core count CPU is meaningless. The reality is that CPU inside the X will not be able to outperform a dual-core hyper-threaded Pentium G4560.
Now before I get into an all stops at 4K rant, let me remind you that my preference is at 1080p or 1440p at 60 FPS. The GTX 1060 is the most popular GPU in gaming rigs that are running today's AAA powerhouse games. Unfortunately, the 1060 is rated as a 1080p card that runs almost any game at 60 FPS, something the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro can't do. As great as this card is, it does not compete with the Xbox One X in VRAM.
Oh, now somehow Xbox One X can run 4K at 30 FPS but not 1080p 60 FPS. You're confusing me. If a hardware can run games at 4K 30 FPS, it should be able to run games at 1080p 60 FPS no problem. Hell, it should run 1080p at 100 FPS. If it doesn't, we really have a problem. Also, if you're telling me that the Xbox One X has 12GB of GDDR5 RAM, well, you're wrong again. The Xbox One X's CPU and the GPU share the 12GB of RAM. As a result, this GPU will be able to occupy up to 6GB of RAM at most, since a typical CPU needs around 6GB of RAM or more to function properly. Saying that the Xbox One X GPU has 12GB of VRAM is same as saying my graphics card has 22GB of VRAM because my DRAM is 16GB and my VRAM is 6GB. 16 plus 6 is 22, right?
Digital Foundry could only get this card to 4K with checkerboarding and overclocking. The next most popular card is the GTX 1070 with 3.6% of PC gamers using it. A $470 card. This card is the closest in power to the Xbox One X. Although this card is rated for 1440p 60 on most games, it isn't built for native 4K like the Xbox One X.
Have you ever seen how the GTX 1070 runs games at 4K? Even though the 1070 is known as a 1440p card, it is more than capable of running 4K in most games. I have a GTX 980 Ti, which is very close to 1070 performance-wise, and it runs games at 4K without any problems.
The GTX 1080 is adopted by 1.73% of the gaming community, with the RX 480 at 1% of those surveyed. This means that the number of PC gamers with hardware up to Xbox One X snuff is about 8 million of the 125 million PC gamers. But contrast that with the 10 to 15 million PS4 and Xbox gamers that are actually hardcore enough to care about graphics.
What was the point of proving all that? Look, I know you're pissed off because your PC elitists are saying things like console hardware is crap compared to our PCs. Yeah, I know they're assholes. They're douche, but you're acting just like them. You're trying to prove that most of the console gamers have better hardware than PC gamers. You're putting people down just because they're too poor to afford a better hardware. Does that help you prove that consoles are the superior platform? No, it doesn't. It just makes you a douche. What's the difference between you and PC elitists? That's why you are called a console peasant.
That 10 to 15 million is based on the number of PS4 Pros sold and the estimated Xbox One X's to be sold, even without any native 4K games, even if all of them were checkerboarded. Currently, there are 65 native 4K titles on the Xbox One X and 22 on the PS4 Pro. Of course, not every game on the Xbox One X will be native 4K. Just like not every GTX 1080 or RX 580 PC gamer will be running their games in 4K.
Oh, I forgot to count the number of checkpoints I've made. I think this is number 9? There's a difference between not being able to play in 4K and choosing not to play in 4K. On consoles, you have to wait for games to support 4K to even play in 4K, even though your hardware is capable of doing so. However, on PCs, especially the ones who own a GTX 1080, since they're the ones you mentioned, choose not to play in 4K if they want to because of whatever reasons. Most games on PC support any resolution if you haven't noticed. There's a big difference. Console gamers are forced to do whatever is provided to them. PC gamers can make whatever choices they want.
But these new consoles are finally competing with hardcore PC gamers and their graphics. And PC elitists are clearly not happy about it. You won't see a PC elitist ridiculing Nintendo, because Nintendo doesn't encroach on their territory. A mobile gaming system with cheerful, family-oriented games doesn't threaten the hundreds of dollars PC gamers have invested in getting high-end graphics. With the Xbox One X and even the PS4 Pro, consoles finally have the hardware to give you PC-quality graphics. Visuals you won't see in a $500 PC.
No offense. What does price per dollar performance supposed to mean?
I want to close this video with a preaching rant that I gave in the Xbox Nation podcast. You'll hear emotion that is built up from enduring wild claims from PC gamers for over 2 years. Nigel, roll the tape. Okay, so I did that video. Can you build a gaming PC that'll do what the Xbox One X will do for $499, okay? And I got drones of comments from these PC elitists scared out of their little NVIDIA pants about how this Xbox One X was going to try and do 4K gaming. They gave me parts lists at $500, $550, $482, claiming that PC would do 4K 30, some 4K 60, that it would support VR, and they told me, you don't need the Blu-ray player. Get that out of here. I'm like, look, it's a feature on the Xbox One X. So if you don't pick the one that I put in the parts list, you got to go buy a shelf one for $300. So get out of here with that crap.
I personally don't think PCs need Blu-ray or any other disc drives anymore because PCs are not dependent of them. Most PC gamers now get their games from Steam, so they don't have to invest their money on that. However, many games are still being sold as a hard copy on consoles, so consoles are very dependent on those features. Also, if you want to talk about features, PC has a ton of more features. What can you do with consoles other than gaming? PCs can be used for web browsing, homework/work, recording audio, content creation, and so much more other than gaming.
That build came out to $1,000 with the Blu-ray player. If you took the Blu-ray player out, that build was $750. PC gamers are liars, and I'm getting sick of it because just yesterday, PC gamer, I need the
Stroking out
Just-
in the background.
What's the difference between you and PC elitists? You're generalizing and ridiculing a group of people for no reason. I can't find a difference between PC elitists saying console gamers are all peasants and you saying PC gamers are all liars.
Just yesterday,
Testify.
PC Gamer put out an article saying, how can we build the cheapest gaming PC that'll do 1080p, 30 or 60 FPS? They didn't effing say 4K. They didn't say anything about
Well,
40. They built this PC and they said the cheapest we can get it without peripherals, which I don't ever count when I do these parts lists. The cheapest they could get it was $500.
By the way, that article's so shit. If you know anything about PCs, you will know how shit that article is by the first few lines. They're comparing the Xbox One X's video memory with the Titan XP. Do you know how dumb that is? As I said before, GPU will only be able to utilize around 6GB at most, or else the CPU just wouldn't have enough RAM to function.
And here for a month, I had these lying PC gamers telling me that you could build a 4K VR supported Blu-ray playing PC mother. And if you think I'm just an Xbox corporate slave, remember that I do a lot of gaming on my $1,000 PC, which I built 2 years ago. You can build a PC like that cheaper now, but I just want to make this blanket statement. You can build a PC for $500, but it's just a terrible idea. I think you'd be better off shooting for a $700 to $800 budget.
No, it's actually not a terrible idea. I agree that a $500 PC wouldn't give you the full Xbox One X performance. The cryptocurrency mining has made it impossible for a mid-range PC, but a $500 PC will do just fine if you want to get into PC gaming for the first time. That's the end of his video. As I said, I'm not trying to deny that Xbox One X has a good value. Xbox One X has one of the best values I've ever seen in a console, even as a PC perspective, but the information he gives is totally wrong. He tried to argue with PC elitists, but he did it the wrong way. His lack of research and attitude against PC gamers as a whole made him a console peasant. Look at this. According to this guy, a 1060 Ti exists. When did Nvidia release the new graphics card? Did I miss anything? Anyways, that's it for today. If you like the video, please hit that like button. For more content like this, please subscribe. And as always, have a good day.